Video games have been an institution for a long time. With the gaming industry now dwarfing traditional media institutions like movies, video games are nearly inescapable in this day and age. GeoGuessr just so happens to be one of those games, and if you take a little peek at my channel, you may notice that I kinda like this game a bit. Just a bit though. With media in general, I tend to have a very critical eye, especially when it comes to music, movies, and even video games, but with GeoGuessr I feel it's always been a little different. In all of my time playing the game, I've never really taken the time to reflect and ask the question, is GeoGuessr actually a good game? Of course, every opinion is subjective, usually with only a few objective measures that can be considered, those being aspects of the game you either prefer or dislike, but with GeoGuessr it gets a little complicated. My sweeping analysis of this game comes down to one big factor, its uniqueness. In the immense world of modern gaming, you will be hard-pressed to find a game quite like GeoGuessr that has either come before it or matches its core game mechanics without copying its format too much. From most angles, this would seem to be an advantageous plus to the game, from a critical standpoint. And in that assessment, you'd be right. Pioneering a genre is almost always lauded in any other form of media, but GeoGuessr presents itself as a special case. The key word when characterizing GeoGuessr is niche, and GeoGuessr does a flawless job of satisfying the people like myself within this niche. Beyond this point lies my main critique, the niche within the niche, if you will, GeoGuessr's competitive modes. For full disclosure, I have been playing GeoGuessr for years on and off, but the game didn't really grab me until the release of its competitive online modes in 2021, and those modes are still the main reason why I play the game consistently today. Therein lies the problem in critically analyzing this game. How much of this game do I actually enjoy? I draw parallels to a similar video made by Awesome Sauce on his analysis of Super Smash Bros. Melee and how he considers ranking it among his favorite games of all time. He talks about how it was a bit of a challenge to come to a conclusion based on the fact that he only ever plays a small portion of the game.
I've spent thousands of hours playing this game, and it should be entirely obvious by now that I enjoy it a lot. So much so that I'd probably say it's the most fun game I've ever played, within the rules and confines of a community-created rule set with a community-curated stage list. Could I really consider Super Smash Bros. Melee one of my favorite games of all time if I've only enjoyed such a small portion of it?
While these two games do not share a copy and paste comparison, it's not hard to see the issues that each game has are comparable from a broad aspect, especially when you consider the fact that most of GeoGuessr's weaker attributes come from outside of the competitive online space. GeoGuessr has an abundance of modes for a single player experience, but from my viewpoint, they tend to be lacking in quality, and most importantly, replayability. For people that are into gaming and geography, GeoGuessr tends to be a perfect fit, a geography-based game that is very easy to understand. Its core single-player mode is a high-score-based mode that is a quick and easy way to get your geography fix for the day, but it isn't much more than that. Before 2021, when the online modes were introduced, GeoGuessr was a very underground game that had a steady traffic of players, but was not growing in any meaningful way, and that's not an accident. The replayability on this mode is very low due to its formulaic and dull system that it works in. Each round you get 5 locations. You have to guess where said 5 locations are to earn up to 25,000 points. Rinse and repeat. Outside of gaining a medal for each country you do well in, there was really no driving factor that would make the average person strive to become better at this game. It's the reason I never played this game consistently before multiplayer was introduced, and it's probably the reason why this game stagnated over the course of the 2010s. Although I have sharp criticisms of the single-player modes, over time GeoGuessr has only improved in this area, with the additions of specialized maps and the new trip feature on the front page, which I can only describe as the closest this game is going to get to a campaign or story mode. But these modes still tend to be nondescript and boring in comparison to the addictive online scene that this game now lives in. Daily challenges are a nice addition, but they're nothing more than an additional flair to keep things interesting. So if single player modes are clearly something I'm not too fond of, what do I enjoy about this game? Well, as I alluded to during this video, GeoGuessr's points of strength lie solely within its online scene. GeoGuessr has 3 main multiplayer modes in 2 different categories, ranked and unranked. These modes are Battle Royale Distance, Battle Royale Countries, and Duels, and are all pretty engaging and interesting to play. The linchpin to GeoGuessr's recent success has no doubt been these game modes, judging by the spike in playership that happened following their release, and it makes perfect sense. It remedies the shortcomings of the game in its original state and gives people a reason to come back to this game consistently and, most importantly, improve at the game to fight for rankings. In hindsight, it seems very obvious that an addition of a multiplayer mode would make huge strides in pushing the game in front of a larger audience, but I commend the devs for cohesively translating an archaic game model into a thoroughly replayable experience. With that being said, the central question comes back into the picture. Is GeoGuessr a good game? While certainly proving to be a difficult question to answer, I think that although there are major flaws in its original game design, GeoGuessr is a rewarding experience that people in the geography niche can appreciate and gravitate to. And while it may be true that most only enjoy some small parts of the game, it would be dishonest of me to discount the enjoyment that many, including myself, have had with this game. Thanks for watching.